Why is it important that the candidates continue to actually have debates, even when it's two candidates we've already seen?
Look, I think that seeing somebody engage with someone who they disagree with gives you a window into who they really are as a person. And I also think that, especially in the modern environment where so much of what people learn about political leaders is filtered through intermediating channels, to be the chance to be able to see it directly coming from one candidate versus another is a path to truth that we're actually missing in modern American politics. So I think it's vital. We've always had presidential debates for a reason. I think we need to continue to have them. It's part of who we are. We need to bring back that spirit of the Lincoln Douglas debates. We need to bring back the spirit of people who are able to travel this country, go to different places together, and to be able to say, even though we disagree like hell on certain policies, we're still committed to the best interests of this country, the United States of America. And once we lose that, I don't think we have the same country left. I truly believe that.
Hardest thing about the formality of that debate structure. And I know there's lots of different rules that you can be part of. And in the high school
Yeah.
level, there's all these different formats. At the big national stage, you've got these different formats. What's the hardest part? You've been through it.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging?
I think the hardest part in the political context, as opposed to, in a high school debate context, the hardest part in a political context is there's a certain artificiality to the way the exercise is actually constructed, right? If it's one-on-one, that's, I think, a pretty good setting, actually. But when you got 10 Republican candidates on stage, it ends up being literally a theatrical production disguised as a debate. You have 30 seconds to make a point. You're designed to do it to be able to capture, realizing that most people aren't simultaneously watching it. How do you generate the shortest moment in which the other 9 million people who you want to see it, or the other 100 million people who want to see it, actually end up seeing it? It ends up becoming more of a theatrical exercise disguised as a debate. So I have no problem with theatrical exercises. Just call it a theatrical exercise. But I think the sleight of hand in calling that a debate, when in fact it's a social media production or a multimedia production, I think creates a kind of dishonesty. And I think that's one of the things that makes certain forms of those presidential debates worse than others. I think a one-on-one debate between two general election candidates is a different story. 2 hours, isolated format, and really going directly at the two candidates who have fundamentally different ideologies from one another, I think is actually far more productive.
What else would you want to share, especially with parents, about how to help our kids use debate as a tool to set them up for success in life? Why is it important for me as a parent, or for the viewer as a parent, to look at this issue and say, this really matters, and I need to make sure that my son or daughter is capable of engaging in discourse?
Yeah, look, I think that it starts at home. Starts at the dinner table. For me, one of the experiences early on in my childhood came from my own parents. My father ended up going to law school when I was in middle school. He did it as night school, though. He worked at the GE plant in Evendale, Ohio, under Jack Welch's tenure, where he faced layoffs. They laid off about 2/3 of the people at the plant. But his way of being able to keep job security was they were short on patent attorneys, and he was an engineer. So if he went to night school all the way in northern Kentucky, 45 minutes from where we lived, and did that for 4 years, he would have a secure job. Well, my parents didn't have childcare or child support or anything like that. So often my dad would take me with him to those law classes at night. I was in 6th grade. I would sit in the back of the class. But I remember the way my dad would use those long drives back home, those 45-minute drives back home, would be to sort of engage me in debate, right? He would lean maybe a little left of center, and so he would criticize what Clarence Thomas or Antonin Scalia had to say. And as a 11-year-old, 12-year-old myself, I was able to take the other side of that debate. And it was a great way that, even to the point you raised earlier about unity, that brought me closer to my dad. That's actually something, debating at the dinner table and in those long car rides actually brought us together in a way that we probably wouldn't have happened if we weren't engaging in that type of debate. And I think that's the friendliest setting in which to begin, because it teaches kids who know they have the love of their parents, but are able to then learn to say that even if you disagree with them, dealing with one another as peers and as adults in the context of a debate, that allows you to see that how much you love or regard a person is separate from whether or not you disagree with them. And that's where the role of the family here in reviving debate is maybe even more vital, is definitely even more vital than that of our schools. And so I think parents who take that opportunity with their kids, at least for me in my upbringing and the way we think about raising our boys now, is it's a great chance to treat your kids not just in the disciplining sense or the pedagogical sense as a parent, but the beginnings of also showing them that you see them as a real person with their own views by engaging them in that debate. And I think it's a great way to not only bring a family together, but to teach kids that against the backdrop of loving somebody, if you can disagree, then you can go into the world and have a relationship with your fellow citizens who you may not agree with too, but who you can still respect and, dare I say, have a special type of love and relationship for your fellow citizen as well that I think we're missing today.
Yeah, that resonates so deeply with me. I have my son's graduating high school this week, and debate has been such a big part of our relationship. And it is funny that trust and a sense that there is a shared objective that's bigger than the debate that's being had seems to be so important for the potential to learn in that debate process. Is there anything else you'd want to share about this topic and this concern?
I'm optimistic that this is going to sort itself out, right? That the assault on this culture of debate that I think was at our country's founding, we're going through a little bit of a adolescent period where we're rebelling against that with this censorious culture. But there's something native about us as human beings that resists that, right? One of the things that makes us human beings is the idea that we're able to have these beliefs. And it's foundational to who we are as human beings, as free agents with free will, to want to express those thoughts and views with others. And I think that's been true for all of human history, and it's true today. And so as dangerous as it might feel at times to live in a culture that suppresses that, I don't think that's going to naturally last for long, because we as human beings have been wired. It's in our very nature to want to express ourselves. And I think that is part of what's going to bring us together as a country again.
And do you think that's baked into the American DNA? Is there something uniquely American about discourse? Is it our diversity? Is it the nature?
America was a country built on the idea of the marketplace of ideas. America as an idea was built on the idea that every idea deserves to be expressed. Every opinion gets to be expressed. They put the First Amendment first for a reason. You're free to practice your faith, and you're free to express your opinion, no matter how heinous your peers might think that opinion is. So yes, they put the First Amendment first for a reason. It was core to the founding of our country. It's core to the DNA of our country. And the beauty of America is it was founded on the attributes that make us human ourselves. Our free will, endowed in us by our Creator, was written into the very Declaration of Independence that formed the DNA of America's own founding. And so this idea of debate bringing us together, that's a distinctively American idea. I won't call it uniquely American, because we've exported that idea to other countries around the world, but it is distinctively American. And when we think about what makes America great again, we got to maybe remember what made America great the first time around, and the openness and the love of open dialogue and debate and free speech. Yeah, that's absolutely what made America great the first time around. And that's what's going to make America great again if we have a shot at reviving this country.
If you like this clip, you should check out the full video and all the other great content we've got at Dad Saves America. So be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss our new stuff as it drops each week.